Hi, welcome back to howtoav.tv over at ISE 2018. We're joined by Kevin Sherwood of CIE, and we're here to talk about lockdown procedures, dynamic lockdown. Kevin, first of all, what is lockdown, and what's the difference between a lockdown procedure and a lockdown system?
Lockdown very much is what you would do in the event of either an unsolicited attack, a threat. It can be anything from somebody being abusive through to somebody unfortunately carrying a gun or a knife, and of course the ultimate is terrorism, unfortunately.
So I guess that a lockdown procedure is really something that is driven a plan by the building facilities manager, by the school, by the office building, how they're going to look after their customers, the children and the staff safely.
Yeah, very much so. It is driven from that. Every building is different. If you take schools, there'll be a given procedure. It'll be different from whether it's a primary or a secondary school, how big the actual buildings are. When we're not just talking about a building, we can be talking about a college campus, which could be multiple buildings. So the procedures are all different. Everyone is different, and every school, college, business has a different way of working, unfortunately. So a dynamic means it's got to be adaptable, and that's the key word there, is dynamic. It isn't fixed in stone. It's got to be able to manipulate dependent on what happens.
So a lockdown procedure is the plan put into place by the school, by the building, by the office manager, but that differs from a lockdown system, which is how technology can be brought in to assist that procedure.
Yeah, that's really the message we're trying to get over, is that the procedure is critical, that's the important bit, that's the process they follow, but the system components can vary from job to job. Some are based around public address, some are based around access control, some are based around door entry. So there are various ways of managing these systems. Schools have very good perimeter fencing, so protecting the gates, protecting how people gain access, that's one of the key ones you can protect people. Whereas with a business or maybe a shopping centre, that's an open. We all walk through them every day. So we have to have a different procedure. We don't want to scare, we don't want to frighten. So again, this is where we help, we review and say what components are available in technology now that we can use.
So every building, every client has their own procedure, their own plan for lockdown. But it's also the case with a system. There isn't one size fits all. Can I buy a lockdown system off the shelf?
Certain sites already have existing product. So what we're trying to do is not create a spend to drive it that you've got to go out and start again from square one. How do we best employ existing technologies, do some joined up thinking, and deliver that? So every job is different. You know, some have access control, some don't, some do have CCTV. So it may be the addition of access control, it might be the addition of intercom. So it's really making the best of what the client's got with a limited amount of spend. You know, education particularly has very, very limited budgets. So the requirement that's coming from the market, and this is driven very much from the market, is we want to protect either our children or our students or our workmates, and because of that then we've got to look at what will fit for each client. So it is different every single time.
So my understanding with a lockdown system is it's really twofold. One is communication, so that we can talk to our customers, our staff, and students, for instance. And the other side is the actual security, the physical lockdown side of things.
Yeah, very much so. It's got to be about communication, and then it's also got to be what can we employ to stop people, inhibit movement, so we keep somebody contained in an area, make it dynamic enough then to allow them to exit from other areas of the building, clear the building. But it's very much about what you do in the first 3 minutes. That's the key thing, and containment is the key one. Communication then is, do I stop, do I go, what happens?
So my understanding therefore is that a good lockdown system is so tied in with the procedure itself. So let the building facilities manager, the office manager, the head teacher develop a lockdown procedure in hand with the lockdown system designer. Is that correct?
Very much so, yeah. Look at what they've got, what is the procedure that fits best for them. Also the staff, if they've got a high turnover of staff, training is a key issue, how you manage those staff. what they do in each procedure, what their responsibilities are, make it simple, but also make it effective. And often the most simple is the most effective way of doing it. So yeah, I think we try and educate and allow the client to develop their process. It's pointless us trying to drive them because they know how their building works. And that's a key thing. So work hand in hand with them, and then hopefully we then provide a system which will protect them in these unfortunate events.
So with regards to a system, what type of technologies can and should be employed?
There is a multitude of technology to use. Access control obviously allows you to lock and close doors. Simplifying it, putting into things like networks, instantaneous communication, instantaneous action. We're a big advocate of that as a company. Audio, yes, communicate clearly. Doesn't have to be audible. It can be visual now. We see a lot of businesses that have got digital signage, which can be used. It's a course of talking to who supplied it and how do we make something come up on screen that says, you know, we're in a lockdown. But also make it such that it doesn't scare and it doesn't become an issue where people panic, because panic is the worst thing that we want. But yeah, public address, access control, the use of CCTV. We've a myriad of CCTV in the UK, which is only used after the event. Let's look at what is happening. You know, let's observe cameras, see who's coming in. That eliminates risk, and if we can eliminate risk, then we eliminate a requirement for a lockdown system. We make it easy. So we based all of our current document that we put out on lockdown is based around the counter-terrorism document, which is a brilliant advisory piece of paper out there. But there are some 600 documents out there on the subject of lockdown. So it's not just us saying this. I think also that what is out there and the way that it's been approached is very much, it's a process to look at. Yes, you must develop a procedure. The Department of Education have said that. There is a lot of pressure now being applied by the National Teachers Union against the government to A, help to fund, but B, also what is going to be the national adopted procedure. So we get it from area to area. Everybody has a different view. We'd like to see a joined up view. We're there to help with that, but it's not us to define it. It needs the government to define that, really.
There are a lot of advice out in the market with regards to lockdown procedures. CIE, I know that you guys are running an enormous amount of training on supporting schools, supporting buildings in designing procedures, but also helping integrators to design really robust lockdown systems as well. They're happening throughout the country in 2018?
Very much so. I mean, the demand for us to do system design has tripled within the last 6 months because more and more people are requesting it. Our understanding is that all local authorities must have a lockdown procedure in place by 2018, and I think a lot of schools, particularly at the moment, are starting to consider it. Private schools very much so, but they have better funding, so going forward I think it'll be done. But yes, and then the need for us to run seminars to help people to look at the procedure, that's one reason why we've done it, and we've reacted to the market's requests, as we always do at CIE.
CIE have put together a detailed guidance document on lockdown systems and lockdown procedures. We'll drop that in a link below. We'll also add a link to this video giving you details of all the latest training from CIE around the UK throughout 2018. Kevin, thanks for your time. Join us again soon at howtoav.tv.